Hey, friend, it is Lisa Nehring from True North Homeschool Academy, and I am here to talk to you today about next steps. Okay, so your house is managed, you're practicing self-care, you've got great curriculum, you've got goals set for your kids, homeschooling's going great, and then what happens? Something doesn't work. Something stops working the way it should, and you have to pivot. And pivoting is the name of the game when it comes to homeschooling. Why is that? Well, you're dealing with human beings. And when you're homeschooling, you're not just delivering education. You are dealing with a person's heart, yours and theirs. And if you have more than one kid or two or five, you have those hearts. You're managing, and that sounds like a weird way to say it, but you are managing hearts. And so sometimes we run into things where the curriculum doesn't work, the schedule doesn't work, the chores aren't working, it just is a mess. And so we have to pivot. And homeschooling is really about flexibility and adaptability. Um, that can be really tough because sometimes we run out of money and resources ourselves. When my oldest son, who's my third kiddo, was in a kindergarten, I was pregnant with our fourth. We didn't think we were going to have any more. We just didn't get pregnant. And then all of a sudden, bam, we got pregnant. And he was a kindergartner, and he wanted to start school. He was ready. And so we did math, and then he finished a year's worth of math in like a couple months. And so he did the next year's worth of math in a couple months. And then he did the next year's worth of math in a couple months. And all of a sudden I was out of math and not out a year. And that was it. I didn't have any more math. And this was before everything was free online, teachers paid teachers. I don't even know that it existed at that point. The internet was just getting started. That's how old I am, okay? And so there was no more math. I was out of resources. I was out of time for him, and I was really, pregnant. So that was just it for math that year. Um, Sometimes when we pivot, we don't feel like we have the resources and the time and the energy to bring in more stuff, and that's okay. I just want to encourage you that what are the next steps after you get everything arranged and settled and situated and it's all going great? Enjoy that ride, and then expect that it's probably going to change. And adaptability and flexibility is going to be the name of the game. So how can you be adaptable and flexible when you have a lot of people and you have a lot of expectations, and you have all these people to manage? I would just say, don't forget to use things that are readily available to you. Play board games and strategy building activities together. That's a great way, an underutilized way to do school is by board games and strategy games. I love perplexers. I talk about them all the time. They're very inexpensive, and it's a great way to build deductive reasoning in your kids. Also, develop a growth mindset with your kids. The Big Life Journal is a great way to develop a growth mindset, but you can do that with a lot of resources available free online, and Teachers Pay Teachers have some great growth mindset activities. I would also, do things like develop the scientific method with your kids and teach them the art of observation. You can do that without having to purchase curriculum. And I would suggest that you do this anyway. Just make it a goal to teach your kids the scientific method and implement it in your homeschool. We're just coming off of a crazy political season, and we all know that people have a hard time thinking logically. You can see it in the debates and in the responses to the debates, et cetera, et cetera. And so the scientific method is really a great way to teach your kids logical reasoning and the next logical steps. And then I would really suggest that you utilize it. Go outside and take nature walks and talk about it, and get on NASA.org and get on NOAA website that's paid for by your tax dollars, free from the government. And it's a great way to develop that flexibility and adaptability in your kids as well as in yourself. And you can, especially with the scientific method, really understand what things don't change, what things are just in place, and what things aren't. So I would suggest that is a way to really developing flexibility and adaptability in your kids, or if you've run out of time and resources and just need something else to do. I would also really encourage you to learn a foreign language. You can do this. You can start free online with Duolingo. Of course, we have many awesome foreign languages available to you at True North Homeschool Academy. K through 12th, we offer Chinese and Spanish, and then 4th grade and up, although I think we're going to add younger kids Latin next year. We have Latin 1 through 4. We're going to do like a younger kids Latin. We also have German, French, and Hebrew. And so I would really encourage you to learn a foreign language, because that really teaches your brain to be adaptable and flexible. And you can make all sorts of games around your house that don't take a lot of time and money, and help you pivot in ways that you might not have even realized you want to go. And it could be a great way to do unit studies and that type of thing. Because if you're learning foreign language, you're really learning culture, right? And so if you get into a foreign language, it's a great way to think about food and dress and historical time periods and who's in political office and the government system and the value system, the major religions of that place, and a whole wealth of things, the geography and the terrain, and how long the civilization has been there, et cetera, et cetera. So if you really are in a place where you have to pivot and you're not really sure what to do next, at foreign language could be a really fun way to just dive into something really cool that you weren't expecting. I would utilize SMART goals for your kids. Have them set some for themselves. Decide that, hey, what do they want to learn, and really go after it. And SMART goals are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. Help them think through what a SMART goal is and help them reach their goal. Travel is a really great way to pivot. If you are not sure what to do next, or just need to change some things up, day trips, field trips, virtual field trips, and longer trips are great ways to do that. And you can work in so much educational stuff by travel. I love comparing and contrasting when you travel. You can do this over a number of trips. We had the opportunity to go to Monticello, Mount Vernon, and the Hermitage, all within 2.5 years. One is George Washington's home, one is Thomas Jefferson's home, and one is Andy Jackson's home. It's a great way to compare and contrast the personalities and presidencies of each of those great men. And so I would just work in travel and field trips as much as possible. Virtual field trips, of course, are awesome, and Shannon Swindler does a really fantastic geography class based on virtual field trips. The other thing, if you are really needing to pivot, and you're at that next step type of place where you're not sure what to do next, make yourself some grit goals. And I'm always recommending Angela Duckworth's book, Grit, Grit. She has a whole section in the back or on her website about how to develop grit, also known as resiliency, in both yourself and your kids. And I would say, hey, help your kids develop some resiliency. They're going to need it, right? A couple other things, if you're just really needing to pivot and stuff like that, focus on core values in your home. Really focus on, what are the core values? At True North Homeschool Academy, our core values are faith, family, and freedom. So how can you do that? If you're in a place where you're out of time and money and resources, but you're in the spot where you have to pivot, that wasn't working, but you're not sure what's next, focus on the core values of your home. Faith, family, and freedom is a great place to stay. What a great place to start. What is family? What is it about? Who's in your family? Do a genealogy. Do some research into your family. We discovered that my husband's family went back to the Revolutionary War, and my kids are eligible for like the Daughters of the American Revolution and all that kind of stuff. Hey, there's some scholarship money involved. Okay, so you never know where some of this stuff is going to take you. But I would just start really looking at that. Freedom, what does freedom mean? You could do like dictionary searches and all sorts of cool stuff. And then faith, what is your faith really about? And the great, simple, easy way to develop your faith is to open up the Bible and start reading. Read out loud so you hear the words. The more neural pathways that you use, those are your senses. So seeing, taste, hearing, touching, smelling. The more ways that you can take in information, the more it's going to stick, the more you'll remember it. And so I would even start by just reading the Bible out loud. There's some great children's books out there, and arch books are a really fun way to teach your kids about simple Bible stories, even older kids. The pictures are great, the stories are simple, but they cover the basics. And then I would really delve into church history too, because that is really a big part of the story. Where is the church? Where are the people of faith? And what is their story and his grander, greater story? Develop the long view with your kids. And what does that mean? Where are they going to be later on, and how are they going to get there? A lot of the jobs that your kids will be doing don't exist right now. college is becoming unbundled. And so you want to kind of start talking with your kids about what are their particular bents and abilities, where do they see themselves, where do they believe God's calling them to, and maybe start doing, delving into some areas that might take them there. So if you need to pivot, there's lots of different ways to pivot. I'm going to link to a podcast that we did on adaptability and flexibility that goes into a lot of these topics more in depth. I've linked Perplexers in there as well, and some books and articles. I also loved The Post-American World by Fareed Zakaria, a great way to really think about freedom in America and who we are as a country and where we're going. And it's not about America, like it's not the hope of America's downfall. It just talks about where things are going and where we as America as a country is going. So great read. And of course, books on tape. You know, I love books, and so I'm always recommending books. It's a fallback of mine. It has been for years. If I run out of ideas or money or time or resources, books, 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 and you can do books on tape. Now, there's a lot of ways to listen online. Audible, Mike used to listen to a ton of books through YouTube. Who knew? And, you know, watch the comments because some of them are crummy. But there's a lot of ways to get free books. And I would also say, check out Pinterest too. If you are just feeling uninspired and things are not working and you need a new resource, you can just do a day-long unit study. You can do a day-long lap book. You can do a day-long learning everything there is to know about elephants. You don't have to make it a big 6-week long thing or a 12-week or 50-week or 30-week or 2-year. It can be an hour. It can be an hour. And if you're pregnant or you're worn out and you're nursing or, you know, the dog died or whatever, take some time off and go outside. Nature studies are a great way to pivot and reset and refresh. So I hope some of these ideas are helpful to you as you are thinking about next steps, because again, oftentimes when things are going along just well and everything's good, all of a sudden, bam-o, we got to pivot. I'd love to hear how you pivot and some of your great ideas and solutions for that. Go over to the tribe or the collective and share with us there. You know, you can always email me at hwforyou.me2@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I will talk to you soon. Thanks.